Alright friends, how's it going? Zig coming in at the top of the interview. Today on the show we have Avery Mandeville of the band Little Hag. Now, Avery came to my attention from my interview with Glenn Morrow, who is the owner of Bar None, which Little Hag is signed to. And if you listen back to the interview, you can hear us talk about Little Hag a little bit. Her new album, Whatever Happened to Avery Jane, is out now on all streaming platforms, and I'm a fan of it. And what's so rad about it is here we have someone who is a good songwriter with an original voice coming in with this DIY punk rock real deal attitude. It's nothing but cool stuff, and I can't recommend you guys check it out enough. During the conversation, unbeknownst, we kind of go down this open mic conversation, and it keeps coming in and out of things relating to hosting and being in an open mic night. And it was a really cool reminder for myself, because that's where I got my start. That's where I met George, who, if you listen back, George Hartwig, a couple episodes back, that's when I started playing music. The mic night is a real deal community builder and confidence builder and spirit builder. So it was really interesting to have a conversation that kind of wove in and out of that, and that's kind of what happened with this. And I don't know if it's just a New Jersey thing, but I've noticed with both my conversations with friends from new friends now from New Jersey, we weave in and out of a point, not planned. So before we get to the interview, we're going to listen to a tune off Avery's new record. This is Tetris by Little Hag off Whatever Happened to Avery Jane. Tetris by Little Hag. It's catchy, right? It's catchy. It's a short but catchy song. And we get it more into it within the interview. Okay, before we get any further, this podcast is mixed by Studio 44, Studio 44 CLE. If you have any audio needs, go to Studio 4 CLE. They can help you with audio mixing, recording. If you need a band, Jay from Studio 44 can be your band. What? Yeah, figure that one out. I don't know. Super talented dude, can make anything work. Streaming, video work, that's the place you want to go. Studio 44 CLE. If you go to Studio 44 CLE on the Facebook and stuff, or Studio 44 CLE at the gmail.coms. Also, while you're at that, if you want to rate, review, subscribe, comment the podcast and on the podcasting platforms like YouTube. We're also on Instagram and Twitter and the 9 yards now. That helps me talk to cool people and keep sharing awesome conversations like this one. So without further ado, here's Avery Mandeville from Little Hag. All right, so I dig the record a lot. The new record you put out with Bar None, which I guess is it's a collaboration, right? Or not a collaboration. It's a amalgamation of a bunch of singles you put out.
Yeah, it's some old stuff and some new stuff. Most of it had already been released under just my human name when I was just going by Avery Mandeville before we kind of transitioned into being Little Hag and doing the band thing. So yeah, it's kind of the time span on those songs range from, like 2010 to 2020. So. Gotcha. Yeah.
And was it all done like DIY? Did you guys record most of those on your own, or were you going through other places?
It was kind of all over the place. Some of those songs were recorded, in friends' houses, in friends' attics, and kitchens and such. Some of them were done, in real studios. Yeah, so it is sort of a DIY project, but the places where everything was recorded varies kind of greatly because those were recorded over many years.
Yeah. What'd you record in the kitchen?
The song Alexander, which is like an acoustic one.
That's a deep
song.
It
was just in my friend's, my friend has used to have a really small apartment, and it was like in the little walkway between the kitchen and the dining room was like where we wound up setting up.
Nice. Kitchens get kind of cool sound. They're spacious. They got usually tile or wood floor. I don't know. It's reflective.
Yeah, I like anything that sounds like real to the space. I was just working on some new stuff the other day with my boyfriend that we were, you know, setting me up, playing closer to the mic, setting me up farther across the room, and just seeing what felt better. And I feel like hearing the room always adds something, adds that element that I really like about other artists, you know?
Yeah. What did you find you liked better with what you were doing? Was it closer or further away that really brought out the sound?
Further away. I think, yeah, I don't know. I like when things sound real, you know,
Yeah.
like, and I think I've spent a lot of time like maybe trying to make my music, trying to remove that element from music because it's not, you know, as professional maybe, you know, to have like, you know, some little banter bits that the mic caught before or after a take. Like, you know, I've always cut them out. And I think as time goes on, I want to leave more of them in, and kind of capture like that energy, because that's what makes music fun, you know?
Yeah. Well, that makes it live to some degree. It's a living thing, you know, when
Right.
you're when you're doing it in front of a stage of maybe 100 people or 2 people, you got that random fuck or whatever gets caught on the mic, and that makes it it makes it a joint thing. Like we're here together.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. You on the recent record, that falls in and out of some tunes. I'm trying to think. It's like at the beginning of the third song, or maybe it's at the end of it, where like it was like sounds like this is a waste of time. Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was so sick.
Yeah, I think that's a Facebook song.
The
Yeah.
Facebook song. Yeah, that was. There's so many. Oh, your record. This record is so catchy. Like I did an interview with Glenn,
Thank you.
and like at the end of it, I'm like, do you have anyone who would endure me yakking at them for a bit? And he threw your name out, and I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. And so I've been like in the email, I said I was spinning the record, and I'm like, this is super fucking catchy. But not to leave the point
Thank
we're
you.
on. So with this new stuff, you're trying in different spaces, and you're trying to capture this more real tone to it. But I think you're like general like you come off you're appealing in the sense that you are very like approachable. It doesn't seem like you're putting anything up like on your media or even just the like on the record or how it sounds. It sounds
Yeah.
very much honest and to who you are, which makes it super
Yeah.
appealing. Like even with how you sing, you have this cool vibrato, which I don't think that sounds like it's a natural thing. That doesn't sound like I don't think someone would be like, I'm gonna be super hip and like have this cool sound. Like, and if they did, it wouldn't
Yeah.
come out as elegantly or smoothly as it does with you. Like it's very tasteful, but it seems like it's just something you do. Is that true?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, that vibrato thing is sort of, believe it or not, it's not, the vibrato has gotten less strong over the years, and that's sort of been a conscious thing. Because I think when I first started singing, you know, like in middle school or something, I sounded like a total goat. Like I would just go full goat on them, like
Yeah.
really hard with the vibrato. So I think that just came out of like me not having proper singing
Yeah.
form ever. Like I've taken a couple lessons here and there, but like I know that I don't really technically sing correctly, so I'm sure that's like part of it. But yeah, that's just how I sing and how it comes out. But I appreciate what you're saying about how the music sounds real, because I think that's like my ultimate goal is to like be as authentic to my feelings and, you know, the way I want things to come off,
Yeah.
as possible. And I'm glad that you know made its way into those songs, despite the fact that they're all like kind of from different eras of my life and different places and all that. So, and that's something I'm looking forward to with the new record. That vibe with a more kind of unified nature, just because the songs were recorded around the same time.
Gotcha. So the next one's gonna be a more like congruent series of events where this is like
Yeah, I
sustain-
think
yeah.
so.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think so.
Was it so do you like kind of not to leave the vocal thought for a second, do you feel that, like do you like physically feel like I'm trying to find it. Like when you're singing, do you feel the vibrato, or does it just come out? And you're like, I can't.
Um,
It's just there.
yeah, I mean, it's not like something I can really control.
Yeah.
I notice that like if I'm kind of nervous or if I'm like struggling a little bit, I think I do it a little more. Like it's more like if I can't hear myself singing, so I'm
Mm.
pushing it, I'll like listen back and be like, oh yeah, like I was kind of pushing it a little too hard, so it sounds more vibrato y. I think when I'm more relaxed,
Yeah.
it's it's a little bit more toned down.
Okay.
Um, I kind of like I don't know. I don't really like consider it when I'm like writing or performing until like it's actually the performance is actually happening or like the recording is actually
Yeah.
happening and I'm like, okay, which moments do I want to give a little more and which moments do I want to hold back?
Gotcha. And that makes more
You
sense.
know?
Like the more you would do music, and the more you would sing and make music, you would gain control of when you want to express yourself. For any musician in any format, in like you'd learn when to do more of something and less of something.
Right.
Um, that's cool, and it's weird. As soon as that red button turns on, it's like shit, fuck. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Hmm.
that's when you really start to overanalyze. I don't like that. Ah, that's cool.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. I tend to like the way that I sound. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would say this. I like the way that um, I sound better in a more off the cuff
Okay.
setting than like in the studio. I feel like every time I'm actually in a vocal booth, I kind of clam up and
Yeah.
like I'm overthinking and trying to like sing better, you know, quote unquote, or just you know, and that those putting those restrictions on yourself obviously doesn't yield the best result. But the more I do it, the more I work on it, the better I think I get at just like letting that go
Yeah.
and kind of like leaning into the fact that like whatever I do is right or whatever I want to come up with is enough, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a really hard like spot to be in. You know what I mean? Like when you're in the studio and you're paying for it, it's not the basement or it's not the friend's kitchen. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
and now it's for the label, and like the lights on, they're
Mhm.
expecting something sweet and like rad, and you're
Right.
like, gosh, you just start to overthink it. But
Yeah.
that's cool that it's getting more comfortable, and then you're becoming more comfortable with higher pressure situations, and then
Yeah. You know, it's kind of crazy because I just went in to finish vocals for the new album that's going to be coming out at some point in 2021. And um, I feel like I usually am like going in for many, you know, wanting to comp a bunch of takes, wanting to like really nail a certain note, like
yeah,
getting, you know, really getting super precious about like what I want or what I think the best take is. And with this newer batch of songs, I think I literally did two passes, just straight through full passes of every song
yeah.
and listen back to whole takes. I was like,
Huh.
oh yeah, that's it. You know, like that's it. There's, you know, which I don't know if that's more like, am I writing more in my range or am I just like, entering an era of like, you know, a more comfortable sound. I don't know, but it was a good feeling, but also a little bit scary to be like, okay, we got you know like two takes of every song and that's it. Like, what if I decide I don't like it or something? But everything sounded really good so far.
That's awesome. I relate to that with like just being over like oh, no, let's just go back, and you get so in the wood, or in the you
Hmm.
focus on the tree as opposed to the forest or whatever. I'm trying to find the right
Right, right.
analogy. And like I think that says a lot because you've been doing it for so long, and you know you're like if anything. So I do music too. I'm a singer songwriter
Hmm.
from Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm a music teacher.
Hmm.
Um, but if anything, it's like you're learning yourself with this, right?
Hmm.
Like you're learning how to express yourself. You're learning, like how you're saying, what range works for you. What what your style, even though it's like not just you can't pinpoint it to one thing, especially with your stuff, but like what your general vibe and style is, and like where you think it should go, and that only comes from years of trying to figure it the fuck out. And then when you
Yeah.
start to get an idea and like start to get feedback where people are like what you're doing is cool, and you're just like I'm
Hmm.
doing me, like I don't, that's super
Yeah, yeah.
exciting to hear. Like that it can happen one day.
Totally. And yeah, I mean, I definitely like think it's been a slow climb of like accepting, just the full package of like
Yeah.
being yourself and like what that comes along with. Because I think it's definitely gotten me in some trouble
Yeah.
over the years in various ways. But, like good trouble, like not, not anything devastating,
Yeah. Yeah.
but just like when you use your platform um, to the highest extent, sometimes you make some waves that bite you can come around to bite you, but
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't trade it.
Well, so where did music start for you? Was it guitar lessons? Was it singing? Was it
um,
an older brother, a younger sister? I don't know your family situation.
yeah. Well, I'm the oldest, so
Okay.
I'm the oldest, but my middle sibling Kylie, I feel like kind of influenced me more than I influenced them.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, we have a really good relationship, but
That's awesome.
I guess I started singing. I don't know, like middle school chorus and stuff. I like sang "Let It Be" at the chorus concert when I was like in seventh grade or something. Um, and I took a couple guitar lessons when I was in high school because I wanted like a vessel for singing. Like I wanted to be able to sing and perform without somebody else accompanying me. Like
Yeah.
to be more like self-sufficient. And I guess that was the only reason why I ever picked up the guitar. And to be honest with you, I don't think I really learned more than like the four chords I learned when I was 15. It's kind of like I kind of learned what I learned and stuck with it. Maybe I've gotten a little bit better, but
That's
not very much. And
that's all you need. You need
yeah,
1 4 5 and that sixth chord, and you're good to go.
totally. And I mean, like my band, I'm sure hates me for it now because my guitar player is like super super music theory nerd.
Yeah.
He like went to Berkeley for music theory. Sometimes he'll just talk, and I'm like, man, I have no idea like what even world you're in because none of this means anything to me. It sounds like chemistry. Like I don't even know what you're talking about. But I'll bring a song to the band and be like, yeah, I have no idea like what this chord is. I don't know. Like I just started playing something. The shape looks like this. And then I have my guitar player Fern will translate for me. Just on the spot. And be like, oh yeah, that's a minor 7, bad 9. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Add
So,
whatever you like to it, but
yeah.
it's weird. It's a weird like there's the academic realm of music you can fall
Mm-hmm.
into, and you can fall into this to kind of like figure it out, do it DIY way of it, and there's no
Mm-hmm.
better. And if anything, I think they're best when they're complementing like how your situation is. You got someone that can point the creative aspect of it and give it a label so everyone can understand it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my like first and foremost priority when writing is always lyrics anyway. So like I I wind up like jotting notes down, either like singing into my voice memos or talking into my voice memos on my phone, or like usually I'll like when I'm at a show or like at a bar or
Yeah.
something, I'm like standing in the back like thinking about something, thinking about like what's happening right now or what just happened or whatever, and writing down like a little note in my notes app, and that's kind of how like the writing happens. So like the actual songwriting, like putting notes to the words is
Yeah.
like sort of an afterthought, and comes when I have like a lyric idea fleshed out.
So it's kind of like being inspired in the moment, taking the nugget of if it's a
Hmm.
word or a line or a sentence,
Hmm.
and like and then coming at it later when you can properly reflect on it.
Totally, totally.
Wow.
Or like, I have an idea and it's like, really like overtaking me, and I know that I'm going to forget by the time I get home, so I pull over. That kind of thing.
And when it's like something like that, is it just like a run of lyrics, or is it like a melody with lyrics?
Usually if I'm like pulling over, or if I'm like singing full on into my phone, it's because I have like a melody that I know is going to be gone. If it's just like lyrics, I'm probably typing it, you know?
Which is also good to pull over for.
Yeah. Which, I mean, sometimes, hey, I'm not perfect, but
Danger.
Like, I'm actually on the new record. There's a song that we decided to do it after the fact, but the song came out of a voice memo where I was just like walking to my car and sung like a little jingle, into my phone, sort of not really thinking anything of it. And my best friend Noah was like scrolling through my voice memos, and he was like, "What's this? Why isn't this anything?" I was like, "I don't know, because I don't have anything. I don't know." And he was like, he's like, "You're already singing, like, the song is already there in that 2 seconds. Just write the rest of it." So that became, a full song. And then we, after the fact, added the voice memo to the beginning of the track as like a little intro.
Cool. That's cool.
Which, it's I don't know, because it's like you can hear the nugget of the idea, and then where it goes,
It's like seeing the pre and post. Now, Noah, he plays piano or plays keys or plays bass.
Yep, Noah plays keys and sings. I got Chris DeBrow on bass.
Who's your arch nemesis, right?
Yes, he's hellspawn. He's an absolute devil. Him and I don't know. He's just like my perfect nightmare, man. We have a good running bit where we just like eviscerate each other. But it's so awesome. It's so brutal that every once in a while my dad will just text me and be like, "Chris is really just garbage, isn't he?" And I'll be like, "Yeah." But no, I love him. And what else do I got? I got my friend Nicole on guitar, and I got Owen Flanagan on the drums. Okay. These are my boys that have been with me since since I started playing out with the band. This is my original crew. So
when did it's
pretty cool.
So when did the band start? Right. So you were like, you're writing songs and playing guitar, and I'm guessing this is like throughout middle school, high school.
Yeah. So I was like solo singer songwriter for many years, just doing my little Avery thing. From let's say 2011 to 2016. And when I went in the studio to record my first EP called Salty, which a couple of those songs are on that compilation record.
Yep.
When we went into the studio, it was just me, Matt Fern, and our buddy Joe Pomerico. He was producing and recording the whole thing. And the session musicians that wound up coming in to play were just like friends of friends, people. I didn't really have any close relationships with the rest of the crew, minus Noah.
Yeah.
So, they were just like the session guys. Owen just came in to play guitar. Owen came in to play drums, and he became the drummer. Chris only joined on bass when Fern was going to play bass for our very first show, and Chris was like, "I'll just play bass. Like, you play guitar, He totally invited himself into the band. I didn't even really know him. Like, he was like, I'll play bass for the show. And I'm like, I don't know who you are, but whatever. But yeah, it was a very born out of friendships and the community of the scene around this area in New Jersey. It's very supportive and loving, and people really, I don't know, are down to clown, down to work on new stuff and all that.
Well, that's amazing that essentially the session band became your band. Usually they're like, "Cool, thanks for this money. Good luck with that stuff."
Right.
And I like the idea of the Avery thing. I don't know if that's a pun you haven't used yet. I think that's a solid one. But like okay, so you move from the singer songwriter into like the solo dolo to this full band. Now, before that, then like were you hitting the mic nights? Like Espresso Joe's a thing?
Oh, Espresso Joe's, you said?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God! Wait, how do you know about Espresso Joe?
I did some research.
Oh my God! Yeah. So, it's sadly they're closed now. I think.
Because of COVID
like
or pre?
yeah,
Okay.
like because of COVID. I think forever they like went out of business. But they had been in
That
new
sucks.
hands since I was hanging out there. But yeah, so that was like my first open mic I ever played. I'm pretty sure I played like
Okay, so
you
this,
know like
sorry, that was like solo. Okay, okay. So this was your first
yeah,
mic
that was
night?
like solo times. Especially those was solo times. And that was where I met my best friend Noah. And I like thank my lucky stars for that often because I met him playing a show there that like I wasn't supposed to play. It was like somebody backed out,
Yeah.
and I was like playing Coldplay songs and not saying that they were Coldplay songs as if anyone would believe that I wrote them. I'm like, yeah, the song's just called The Scientist, and then I would like play it, but like really just like some 16-year-old crap.
That's kind of awesome.
But yeah, the open mic scene from that was kind of how I got like my toes wet with the whole thing. But
Yeah.
the open mic scene around town wound up being like super important to just like me performing and meeting people and making connections and like, you know, the first time I ever played with anybody else but myself, you know, was just like a couple of random friends that every Tuesday night there's an open mic at the Chubby Pickle in Highlands, New Jersey, where you know they just have like a full back line for the night and people get up and jam. It's not like your traditional open mic. It's more like a jam sort of
jam night
thing. Yeah, which is like not necessarily. It doesn't sound as cool when I put it like that, but so I was just like playing my usual songs one night, and a band kind of formed behind me. You know, like someone just kind of sat, like a buddy of mine sat down on the kit. People kind of like started coming in, and I was like, wow, holy shit! Like this could be regular. Like this could be what I do on the reg. So yeah, I love the open. I owe a lot to the open mic scene, and I think a lot of people do. It's like where a lot of people get their start, I think.
Definitely. Well, it's a community of everyone who's trying to do something. And like it doesn't have to be good or bad. It's just this kind of like once you get up to the mic and you do your bit and just that conquering of the fear and proving to yourself that I'm capable of attempting other things is such a big deal for a lot of people.
Totally.
And
totally.
In Cleveland, where I'm from, that's where I got my start, was Mike Nights.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Mike Night community here now has been so clutch. Like some of the friends within the scene started this thing called virtual shows. Like right when the shutdown happened, they started these Zoom shows before anyone really knew what Zoom was, and you would donate $5 and you'd get the link, and like all the money went to the artists so they can still eat through this whole thing, and it'd be like a singer-songwriter in the round type thing. And like the Mike Night scene has come, at least in Cleveland, so niche, and it bands together to do all this cool shit. And like so I totally understand the bond and like how important it is. Did you ever host your own? Because I hosted quite a few.
I did actually. I had an open mic that me and my buddy Matt Fernicola hosted for a few years at this place called the Inkwell in West Long Branch, New Jersey, which is kind of like an iconic little late night coffee spot. That it's like the only late night place for kids. You know, like if you're not 21, you can't go to the bar. You're hanging out at the Inkwell at 2 a.m. like having disco fries and you know, drinking espresso way too late into the night because you're 17 or whatever. But for a few years, we were hosting an open mic there that was like very, very satisfying to my soul in like a way that I can't describe, because you know, I got to give to people what I felt like was given to me via having, you know, hosting that space. Make people feel comfortable and give them a chance to get up on stage. And we had, you know, so many people of all ages, of all genders,
Yeah.
getting up on stage and, you know, performing for the very first time, or trying a different kind of performing something different for the first time, poetry or comedy or what have you. And like, I know for a fact, because I've heard from people and because I've seen it happen, like those experiences got balls rolling to, you know, people having, you know, music careers, recording albums, meeting all these people and doing this thing. And it just makes me so happy because like, that's what it's about for me. And I guess it's kind of corny, but like, I always kind of come back to that.
I don't think that's corny at all. I think that's why that's why you come off as like the real deal. That's why you come off as honest and pure with what you do, because that's your intentions into it. And to be able to give back in that way is so cool, because like when you're going to the mic night, you're like, oh, one day I want to be the mic night guy or girl. Person. And like when you get to finally be that person, you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna go to 3. Like, it's so rewarding and cool.
It really is. Yeah, because then you know, there's been kids like, you know, I mean, when I was 20, I guess I hosted that with Fern from when I was like 22 to 24, 21, 20, something like that.
Yeah.
And you know, 15, 16-year-old kids that are like, I've never performed outside of my bedroom before.
Yeah.
And they're like totally quivering. And I'm like, okay, well, like, take your time, do your thing. You want to do 3 songs, that's cool. If you only want to do 1, no pressure. Like, checking up on them a little bit, like being like a little scene mom. Because, you know, somebody else was that scene mom to me.
Oh, but that's so important, because that's like afterwards, like, hey, that was a good set. Because it is. Even if you don't feel like you did good and you're shaking, you don't realize once you do it how big a deal that is. And that's so cool. Like, it's weird. In Cleveland, we have this place called Common Grounds. It's the same type of deal. It's an all-night coffee place, right? So at this place, would people bring in video game systems and like be playing like Xbox in the corner in New Jersey?
This is they would have like game nights where people would bring stuff, but that would only be in like the attic of the upstairs of the restaurant. The restaurant is like a house that was like reconstructed to be the coffee shop. But yeah, but go on.
But so no, I'm just curious now, because now I'm all hyped up. I'm like, you know what? When touring comes back to be a thing, I want to find that place, and I want to find all the Cleveland things out of Cleveland and go to the.
Yeah. Oh my God, I really do miss the Inkwell. Like, since we stopped hosting it, I haven't really been back there too much, and then obviously the pandemic has affected that too. But that was like such an important place for me for a really long time. They would have a lot of benefit shows in the attic of the Inkwell. So you'd walk in and there's like the kind of shitty old looking, like dilapidated main dining room area. And you'd go up like a really narrow set of stairs and you'd be in like the attic space where they would have shows and stuff. Sometimes we'd have the open mic up there. Sometimes we'd have it downstairs. In the summer, we'd have it like outside on the patio, and it's in a college town, but yet there would still be like old neighbors complaining about like noise after 10 p.m. And it's like, dude, you live in a college town. Like, what do you want?
Next to a place that never closes. Like,
yeah, right. Literally, this place opens at 7 p.m. and closes at like 3, maybe. They're just like the late night.
Yeah.
You know.
That's like
after the bar spot, or
you either you get the trying to get sober enough to go home people, it sounds like, or you get the kids.
Oh, I mean, so well, we would get, you know, the kids would come and hang there, and I would go hang there before I hosted the open mic when I was like 18. It was like, this is all I have to do. I'm bored as shit, you know. But no, around like 2 a.m. there's a bar down the street that would let out that like this place was pretty much like a public safety hazard. Like, people would be stumbling out of this bar with like one shoe, like screaming and shit, and they would come into the Inkwell and try and be like, you know, wasted and coming up to me, and they'd be like, "It's open mic, can I sing a song?" And I'm like, "No, like we're done for the night.
Like,
sorry, it's 2 a.m. Like, we're done with the open mic portion."
Oh man.
But now you're making me nostalgic, man. I'm like a very nostalgic. I'm like a very nostalgic person. I get super Like, I don't know.
I feel
My
it.
boyfriend will just like catch me staring off in the distance, and he'll be like, "What's up?" And I'll be like, "Remember, like the summer of 2017?" And he's like, "No. Like, what do you want for dinner? Shut up." So I just get very like, I don't know. I live in like, especially it's so easy now to like
Yeah. So there's
reminisce.
time. There's time to do it.
Literally any other time, you're like, "Wow, remember just like being with people? That shit rocks."
Right.
Also, sorry, I've been cursing. Am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, no, I've been cursing. You're totally cool.
Okay, cool.
But I relate to that as well because like you move through periods of your life, and especially when like you can kind of track it. Like you're like, before I had the band, now that I'm with the band, now that we're doing something and it's going somewhere, this is great. And like you can see little things, and you're like, remember when we'd play that place and it would only be us every week, and
Yeah.
during it you hate it because it's just like a constant reminder that, hey, you're not really doing it, you're trying, but it's not going anywhere.
Oh my God, yeah.
But
I mean, you're speaking my language. Yeah, totally. And everyone has like those years or perhaps decades where it's just like, all right, eventually I'm going to have to pack it up. But
yeah,
for now, I still love it. So
but perseverance will equal success no matter what. It just it's that persevering that leads to it. And like, but
right.
there's something honest and pure about those moments that you're kind of probably too frustrated to enjoy until they're past. And like, oh man,
Yeah.
I hosted so many shitty mic nights and so many good mic nights. One of which would go to 3 in the morning, and it would be that the people that would come in and be like, no, let's play Sweet Home Alabama. Sorry, but I don't know it. No, you know it. It just goes like this, and they would sing it.
Oh yeah, I mean, we had an unofficial but semi-official rule, like if you were in the know, and I mean, most people have the self-awareness, I guess, to know, but they need reminders. Our rules were no Wonderwall, no wagon wheel, and I put a hard stop to Valerie. I don't fucking want to hear Valerie anymore.
I appreciate
I'm
that.
over it. Every white woman on earth just wants to sing Valerie. And also, like, I'm a total hypocrite. When I was 16, was I playing Valerie because it's 4 chords? Sure.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's 3. I forget. But,
no,
you
it's
know.
4. It's 4. It does that A-flat build-up thing, you know?
You know because you know. But, yeah, so there's got to be rules.
I've backed up so many ladies behind that song.
Because you're the ringleader of the madness. You're like, okay, like...
You're like, okay, but that's awesome. We're done with that. Next. That's a good one to put into that realm of no Stairway, no Freebird, no Wagon Wheel, no Valerie.
Yeah. See, like, Freebird doesn't even bother me that much because I think it's more of just a joke, like play Freebird, No one's actually playing. Like, it's almost funny if someone actually does play Freebird because it's like, oh, you're actually going to do it. Like, that's kind of actually cool in a sense. But I don't know. There's just nothing cool about Valerie.
You're right, because too many people cover that. It's way overdone.
I love Amy Winehouse. I mean,
no, she's great.
I'm not a hater. I'm just a hater of that song.
I think The Woods, your song The Woods, the progression kind of gives me a Blue on Black vibe. Like, I don't know if it's, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, thanks.
But yeah, so it makes sense that would be a vibe of yours.
Yeah, I definitely was a huge Amy fan. I remember the day she died because it was my sister's birthday, and and they were like, it's my birthday. Can we like hang out? I think, my sibling Kylie was turning like 11. I was like, sorry, like I'm in mourning. I can't.
Like, what? What do you mean?
I was like, I know I'm 16, but I'm going to be crying about this for a good couple weeks. So
it's weird. It's weird when someone so big, someone so famous, right, passes, and like the majority of people are kind of like, well, I guess there'll be more t-shirts floating around, and like if it means something to you, you're like, fuck, no, like there's something not there. I can't be happy if Joey Ramone is not in the universe anymore. Like,
yeah, it's such a weird, like, it's those like weird cultural moments where like you remember where you were when XYZ thing happened. That was a big one for me. I remember where I was when Prince died. What is the other, like? I guess those are like the two like that I can like think of off the top of my head. But
I was in Guitar Center when Michael Jackson died. Not that I was a
Oh wow.
that big of but I remember it. Like you're saying, like that's
Yeah.
like it's a weird bit.
Yeah, I was
Um,
in my friend's backyard because it was 2008, wasn't it?
with Michael Jackson,
Was
yeah.
it 2007?
I don't really remember. I was at
I
Guitar Center.
remember being in my friend's backyard, like in the pool. It was summer because we were swimming.
I think yeah. Wow, weird. Well,
Yeah.
that's way more exciting than Guitar Center. So the Mike Night, like it's weird because I met my best friends through Mike Nights too, and like they're
Oh wow.
still my best friends today, and like it's such an important like scene builder and culture and like persona builder, right? So when
Right,
you
right,
when you go
totally.
to this jam night and you got this band behind you, was it besides like, oh, I can do this? Was there like they're really bringing these songs to another level type deal, or was there like a thing that really clicked with I can do more even with people backing me?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was all of the above. It was like,
Okay.
Pandora's box was kind of open. Like, okay, so I guess maybe I was like, not that I was too nervous to get a band behind me, but maybe I
Yeah.
just didn't think like I was there.
Yeah.
I didn't think that I didn't think that people would want to play with me necessarily. So that was like a cool confidence booster of like, just
Yeah.
having talented friends who like proved to me that my songs could be more than just a solo acoustic venture, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well now I got to learn how to like play with my drummer, which
Yeah.
thankfully he's an absolute angel. He's literally perfect. He's a human metronome. Anybody who ever comes to see us play,
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, you sounded great, but oh no, man, he fucking hits. I'm like, yes, I know, he's mine. Like, he's not going to play in your band, okay? I got dibs on Owen, but no, he
We're
does play in
booked. We're booked
other
for the
groups,
year.
but yeah, don't go trying to steal any of my dudes because I got them on lock. But
That does suck though, because like everyone's like, yeah, I'll play for you. Like especially when they're session guys, that's like their mo is like, sure, that's what I do. You're like, no.
I'm just grateful that like it's gotten to a point with the band where they're like, I've always been like a priority for them,
Yeah.
but now that it's like, less of them backing me and more of like we are the band.
Yeah.
We all write the music. It's been cool to like, I don't know, feel that energy.
It's
And I think quarantine that kind of like helped us do that in a
yeah.
weird way because I'm not big on like band practice and that, which is not like
Yeah.
not a quality I love about myself, but usually like our shows are sort of, we'll have like a practice here and there, but
Yeah.
like we gig a bunch, so the shows are practice.
And when you're
And
gigging a
we
bunch,
like,
why?
yeah,
Why are we
right.
gonna rehearse? We got a gig tomorrow.
Right, exactly. So it's like we know these songs. But I was writing like a mad person over quarantine, like the early part. I mean,
Yeah.
like March to May, I was cranking them out because I was just in that headspace.
Yeah.
And it wound up leading to like creative choices that we wouldn't have made under the usual circumstances because I would write something, record it on GarageBand to a click, send it to Owen, he'd add drums, literally just like email
Yeah.
him the one track. Owen would add drums to that, send it to Chris, Chris would add bass, and we would go down the line, and it allowed us to kind of like make cooler, I think, creative choices
Yeah.
than we would usually make, where I would just bring the song to band practice, we'd jam it a couple times,
And then
and
it's
those would be
there.
the parts.
Gotcha.
So and I think that comes through on the songs that we just recorded because they were just made different. So
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Well, as a doing the singer-songwriter thing for as long as you have up until that moment, it makes sense that you're like, here's the song, do your cool stuff on it, and it'll sound cool at the end. But like in this way, it's really you can actually hear how much they care. You know what I mean? And then like
right.
that's super
Totally.
empowering to have like, oh, not only do I care about my song, but these people want it to be sick too, and now it's like this cool sick community collaboration of a rad tune as opposed to just like making it sound you put your heart into it too, And that I don't
Right,
know, that's
right,
super exciting, especially for a songwriter like yourself. Like, hear that everyone's into it.
right. Yeah, no, it is the best feeling in the world, and like vibing with these guys like I do. We're at the point where like they know me well enough to know like my babbling, like the meaning behind my rambling when I'm like, no, like I wanted to just I'll look at Fern and he'll be playing like some elaborate solo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but make it sound like bad. And he's like, okay, like he knows what I mean. When I say make it sound bad, he's like, okay, so like add a couple wrong notes
Yeah, make
and
it
like
punk.
make it fuzzy and then she'll like it. But like that's a relationship that it needs time. Like you can't just be having, I don't know, we like speak our own language.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think that pans out into like any relationship, like a romantic one, a friendship, a bandship.
Mm-hmm.
Once someone realizes what you think you mean or what you're asking for is a big deal, because by then they've committed this much time to caring and understanding what you're saying, and then you understand them, and like it's. I totally, my bass player puts up with all my crazy stupid ideas. He's like, oh, this is gonna suck for 2 weeks and it's gonna be fucking cool. Like,
Yeah.
that's so awesome.
No, I feel that.
So, okay, when did one, I like the name Little Hag. I think that's really cool. I'm a little bummed that as a band you didn't stick with official Barbara Streisand, because that would have been super dope. And may have opened up a cool marketing room. I don't know.
You did your research. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Social media is bullshit. Like everyone knows. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope you haven't seen my Twitter, because it's not really. Actually, I don't know. I like treat it like a diary, which is like probably going to come back to haunt me at some point. But like, I don't know. It's like, there is no point to the internet other than like making like cool friendship connections with like mutuals. And like, that's what I love about Twitter. Just like, especially over quarantine, like being able to joke around with people has been like totally just like beneficial to my mental health for sure. But so Little Hag came out of like, just the fact that like having like putting like a cool face forward on Instagram has always just been such a weird thing for me, and I'm not very like good with technology at all. Nor do I want to be. Because I guess that's not really like that's not
tracks
cool,
and recording cool shit. Like, I don't know. It sounds like you got a fair grip on it.
I don't know. Every time I like drop my phone again, I'm like, all right, maybe it's time to not have an iPhone 4 anymore, Avery. But whatever. The camera is fuzzy, but it works for now. But so that was a long tangent to say I like goofing around, and Little Hag is like one of the things that I kind of found funny at a certain point, where I was just like, I don't know, it's a funny thing to call myself like this. Like a little hag, because I don't really think I'm a hag.
Yeah.
But like to be a cute little witch is funny, and it just stuck. And then at some point, not even that long ago, maybe like 2 years ago, I was out somewhere in town, and like somebody was ringing me up, and they're like, "Are you a little hag?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, you know what? Yeah, I am a little hag. And I was like, all right, that's it, boys. More Little Hag. No more of this Avery bullshit. I don't like her. I'm sick of her. And I just wanted like that, you know, level of separation.
So you were actually sick of her, or were you sick of the idea of this group of people isn't just me, it's us type deal?
I mean, yeah, I guess, I don't know. I think it's just like a weird thing with being an artist where like if you use just your human name as your artist name, there's no separation between like
who
you are as a person and the music itself too.
Yeah.
It just kind of all becomes one thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It just didn't really feel like me like what I wanted anymore. It also feels like, for me, that the singer-songwriter connotation and vibe was no longer what the sound was
No,
becoming.
that makes sense.
So, yeah, I don't know.
And then if there's any
It's like a hard thing to explain, but
no,
get it.
It makes sense because like when you're doing the group thing, there's like this, as lame as it is, there's a business end to it, right? There's like the brand end to it, which is awful, and you have to do stupid shit and like send out these things and like oh, why is Avery? She's my friend. Of course I'm good. Why, you know what I mean? Like, but so putting this actual name in it kind of like keeps you and keeps this that. That's the weirdest sentence I've ever said. But it makes complete sense why you would want to separate it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so taking that separation and like working with this group. Oh, total side thought. Within like I think it's in the Facebook song. Kind of going back to your voice, your guitar player does this cool tremolo thing that matches the voice almost. I think it was, or maybe it's it was the Facebook one. Like, I don't know, it lines up and it's a really cool effect. But these guys really bring out these tunes that, now, did you re-record them for this record, or are these the exact cuts from all around?
No, these are the exact old cuts. But yeah, that guitar tremolo thing is definitely, that sounds like a Matt Fernicola thing if I ever heard one.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know, he really knows how to like add little tasty bits to things, because he's just so good at guitar. It's like stupid. Most of the time I'm like, okay, shut up with like being so good. Like, can you be worse? Because I want like a dirty guitar solo that like sounds like shit. That's like funny to me. And he's like, but that's like not really the right thing to do. I'm like, friend, just shut up and listen to me and do what I'm asking. But
remember who's paying the bills.
But yeah, like he's got so much personality, and all the guys in the band have so much, like, they're just really funny, like, interesting goofballs. So they add a lot of flair.
It makes a fun group if everyone enjoys doing it and they're all having fun joking. That's like a welcoming house. You're like, I want to go to that show. They're all cool and fun.
Right.
But the reason I kind of wanted to bring that up was like, you have I don't know if it's just you. It has to be a collaboration, but all your choruses, I don't know, are super fucking catchy, and you layer everything in a really, or you guys, I don't know who did all what, but like the choruses come out as like all the like harmonies and like the little bits like the guitar and like everything fits in really nice, and like especially with like a song like Tetris, where it's like super kind of simple at the beginning, and it's like that singer-songwriter bit, but when that chorus kicks in, it's like full and it's like super catchy.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, I guess I really appreciate that, because like the chorus is everything.
Yeah.
At least I think most people would agree. Like,
don't bore us, get to the chorus.
That's the hook. The hook brings you back.
Yeah.
As Blues Traveler once said. And it's just, that's I think like kind of where I devote most of my mental energy.
Gotcha.
I guess any artist would probably say the same. Like, this is it. This is the most important thing. But yeah, Tetris is actually like recorded and done in a very quarantine way, but like not in a very unusual way for us, because I'm not playing anything on that song. I wrote it, and I sent over like my guitar stem and my vocals that I recorded into my like little shitty podcast mic in my room. But that was all my buddy Noah, my keyboard player, and Nick Sebastiano of the band, another Michael. He produced and did all the little twinkly bits and the bass and the stuff that's going on there. But that was like I wrote the song in like, an hour or so, whatever, and then sent over the vocals and the guitar for it. And from conception of that song to the release of that song, it was like 2 months.
Damn.
Which is
super
so
quick.
crazy to think about because everything else takes such a long time. But that was like, I was like, no, this is the song that's going to be like my bar none debut. This song like has to come out soon because it is so like quarantine summer bummer vibe. Like I don't want to sit on it any longer.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So kind of, no, that's awesome. And quarantine has been like this magic, shitty thing in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like so many cool things have come out of it, but at the same time it's awful and all these people are dying and everything's shitty.
Right.
Not to degrade or diminish that, but like on a personal level, all this cool shit has been happening, and it sounds like you're finding some of the benefit like of that time to sit down and do something like recording this song and like your early stage massive writing that you went through.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah, I wish I could have like kept that energy up a little bit. I haven't written since like June.
Yeah.
I haven't written since I wrote Tetris. I just like haven't been able to get a full song out. You know, I do like my little writing down tidbits thing, but I don't know. I just haven't like had it in me to like write a whole song. But that's kind of how I've always been. It'll be like I don't write anything for a year, and then I sit down and in 5 minutes, like something that I really like happens.
Yeah.
So I'm not pushing it.
Gotcha. And it's like the input-output theory, like Joe Strummer's bit with you gotta take in to put out. Mm-hmm. And with quarantine, it's kind of hard to do. Like, kind of. Right. I mean, there's plenty to do. Like you're doing school, right?
Yep.
Journalism or something?
Yeah, I'm doing journalism, which is very weird. It's weird to be in undergrad because I feel like I'm too old. And everyone's like, no, you're never too old to go back. And, like, and even I say that, like, I allow that to other people too. Anybody who goes back to school, I'm like, oh, that's awesome, good for you. Yeah. You know, it's never too late. But I don't afford myself the same courtesy. Yeah. Like for other people, it's not too late, but for me, it's too late. And I should probably just drop out again. But no, I just kind of wanted to like finish out what I started. Considering I have student loans out the ass that are currently worth nothing because I don't have a degree. So
was it always journalism?
Yeah. I was an English major. Okay. I was going to Hunter College in Manhattan for a little bit.
Okay.
Because I was like, I'm 19 and I want to move to New York, and that's and fuck you, mom and dad. And they were like, you have to take out loans. You have to pay this money back. And I was like, I don't care. I don't know what that means. Yeah. I'm like smoking Benson and Hedges menthols like an old man, like doing dumb shit, like drinking 40s and smoking like expensive old man cigarettes. Like, I don't even know. But so that's how, you know.
Responsibility. My body is indestructible.
Right. And then, you know, only a few years later, I was like, oh, so loans means I owe the money back to Wells Fargo, the bank. Why didn't anyone tell me this? I'm like, Mom, why did you let me do this? And she's like, are you fucking kidding me? No. You insisted that you were moving to New York. And I was like, yeah, but I was dumb. I didn't know what that meant.
That's always
not that this is anyone's fault but mine, but yeah.
But it's cool that you're trying to finish it. You know, that's awesome. And like as a writing in the mentality, because I went to Cleveland State for music therapy, which is kind of where I fell into my job now. I teach at a school for kids with autism, but
oh, cool.
Right. So, well, thank you. So like as far as writing, like getting in the mentality of like journalism writing, especially now when it's like, oh, nothing's real, it's all fake media. But like the idea of being able to say something in a headline and gather attention, it's kind of like I can't think of the guy, Whitman. Being able to write a story in a sentence. Like, is that like type of stuff you're learning how to do? Because like that would totally pan off for songwriting, like 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I do think there's like in any kind of writing, there's like crossover. Obviously, like if you're thinking critically enough to like, you know, write good copy, you can think critically enough to write a good song. You know, I mean, I think they're like applicable skills across the board. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the classes that I was taking this semester were like heavily news based as far as like the political,
Yeah.
the election cycle that was just happening, and
Yep.
following
Fun.
that deeply, which was not which was not a project I was a fan of. But one of my classes, my semester project was to analyze the Trump campaign and like take notes throughout the semester on like how the Trump campaign got their messages across, what tactics they used, blah blah blah. And I was like, I really don't. The last thing I want to do is pay attention to this, like, in a deep way, and like write a paper on the first debate. Like, how could I even write anything about that?
They couldn't write it. Thank you.
But yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, like, it's like anything. It's like flexing any muscle. You just gotta do it. And
I think
it's been tough, but it's been, I think, rewarding.
That's awesome. I was gonna say, I think any form of critical thought is very important, especially with media and stuff. What would be your kind of outcome of how that campaign? Not to pin you on this, I don't mean to but was it like false advertising, short phrases that stick in the mind? Like, are they not boring us and getting to the chorus? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Wait, I'm sorry. Like
I'm sorry.
Well, can you rephrase that? I feel like I missed what you said.
No, I definitely totally am over caffeinated and said that in a weird way. So you analyzed the Trump campaign for this class, and I don't want to put you on the spot. So if you don't want to talk about this, we can whatever, we can cut it out or whatnot. But and you were analyzing tactics they used to get their message across, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I meant. Like the "Make America Great Again" is kind of like a short little bit people can shout. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like a chorus is what I was trying to compare it to. Not that it was a good one.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
I mean, I think you're onto something. Like, it is catchy and memorable, and it sounds good at a first.
Yeah, it sounds like it means
at a first
something,
glance,
but even it doesn't. But
right, it's like a pop song. In its own special, horrible way.
In its own special, but that's kind of like the whole Plato's Republic thing, right? Where they were I don't know if you're a philosophy head, if you've dove into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So in the Republic, you can only do music at a Dorian, and that invokes being a good warrior or whatever. And other than that, we banned all this other stuff because it inspires and you can transcend to not a robot or whatever. So it's interesting to see music bits. This might be a super music snobby thing to even say or even to talk about. To see music bits in other things, to hear cadences in comedy, or to hear rhythmic patterns in speeches, and I don't know. I was just wondering if anything came across your way of studying stuff like that.
I mean, I feel like my biggest takeaway from that project, and just what I've been learning in general, is that there is a real truth to every story. It's just a matter of whether or not that truth is being told or being suppressed.
Gotcha.
Who benefits from that truth. And I don't know. It's very disheartening because the more it's with most things where it's if I really want to think about the deeply rooted, treacherous systemic racism that exists within America and the 400 years of this history, if I spend too much time thinking about it, I'm going to shoot myself.
Yeah.
So I can only allot, however much time of my day to the crumbling of the world, because if I think about it too much, it's just totally debilitating. Which actually, that sounds really bad as a white person being racism is too much for me. That's not what I mean. I just mean if I think too much about the way our fascist president is actively inciting riots and validating the existence of Nazis, I will never find peace.
Right.
So instead, I'm going to watch Love Island and write my little song, and I'm going to write to my senators, and I'm going to donate to mutual aid, and just try and tell racists to fuck off when I see them in public. That's definitely one of my greatest pleasures, is like yelling at people who aren't wearing masks, or yelling at blue line flag people. I got into it with an actual Nazi who I saw on my block. That was a long day.
That sounds like a long day. We could put a pin in that. That could be an off mic if you don't want to get into it. But the kind of highlight, the beauty of it is like, even though, I mean, all this shit is super shitty, and I think a majority of the people are in the middle and realize everything's super shitty, and realize side A and side B are shouting the same thing, but where we move on from that is, to some degree, is you writing your songs. It's you being the best you can be, and showing people that I can do it without being racist, and I can do it without being sexist, and I can include everybody and respect everyone's names and boundaries and origins, and still do this thing I love and share it. And by you doing that, other people can see they can do that too. Like, as a teacher, I'm on this big kick of leading by example, and like that's how you do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
How a senator does it should look different, and how blah blah blah. But so I don't discredit yourself, and I think it's abnormal that you're being what do we call it? Privilege checking. You know what I mean? Not disregarding.
Yeah.
But I also think it's important to like fully do you, because it inspires anyone else who wants to do them to do it to the best they can as well.
Right. I mean, I think we just all had this like big national wake-up call this year, where it's like the systems that are in place do not serve a majority of people, especially Black people in America, especially people living in poverty, people who are homeless, or experiencing homelessness, like experiencing hunger. There's like the more you think about it, the deeper it gets, and the more you realize that like the systems of oppression and greed that exist serve only the 0.0001%, and it's a matter of what you do with that information. Like, it's really hard to grasp and sort of level with, because it's so just depressing. But it's like, okay, what can I do? I can support mutual aid funds in my area, support my community, so that people aren't hungry, and people, know their rights. People can organize and come together to heal in massive ways, and to, support each other. And then kind of bottom line, it's like, look at the people in your community, look at the people in your circle. Is somebody being ignorant? Help them out by giving them knowledge.
Yeah.
And
I think I think that was super well said. And I think it's important to help them out. I think a lot of people kind of shun and exclude and get rid of the person, you know what I mean? As opposed to kind of leading by example. They kind of push them away, and like, in some degrees, like, if that's what you have to do. But also, like, it doesn't help to push people away. I think it helps to show them what to do, and have those shitty conversations, like, which no one wants to do. But we got heavy. Really quick.
It is so hard, but it's so valuable, and I find that like I do that through music too. In like, I mean, I haven't always been like overtly political, but just like a bit, a sort of founding. I feel like a founding feeling of Little Hag is like taking down sexism and taking down abusers and predators that exist within scenes, and like helping victims feel valid and seen and understood. And there's definitely been times in which like that has been precarious, or that's put me in awkward positions, or been difficult to level with. But also I know firsthand from people telling me like it's empowered them or impacted them to like put an end to abuse that's happened or to confront somebody.
Yeah.
I've had people DM me on Twitter like asking for help with problems that I'm the only person who knows, and like being able to do that for somebody
that's a lot
is
of pressure,
absolutely fucking everything to me, because there's been times where I needed that.
Yeah.
And that was what somebody gave me. I needed validation and help, and to feel like I mattered. And doing that for other people is like what it's all about, for sure.
It's like an emotion.
I don't know, that was sort of a tangent, but
no, it makes sense. It's like an emotional, it's like a support mic night. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like when I needed this help, I went to someone and they gave me that help, and like now you're the mic night person again, but with feelings and thoughts and horror, like except for bringing up songs or tunes, you're like you're helping share trauma, which isn't great that that's a thing that's being shared, but it means the world to be heard. And I think that's amazing that people can reach out to you and do that, and you can help them out like that. And like,
I mean, it really is like, I think it's everything to me, because the level of community that I've experienced when sharing like a deep, vulnerable thing, such as like when I play Predator, there's every time I play the song Predator live, somebody comes up to me after.
Fuck.
Whether it be a man or a woman, old or young, someone comes up to me, in sort of like I'm standing in the corner drinking after my set, and someone's like, hey, like, whisper in my ear, like, I just wanted you to know, like, that really resonated with me, and thank you so much.
Yeah.
And like I relate to that. And I've cried with people and people that I don't even know, and like to have those, to be that person that I've needed from the world is like, I don't know, it's everything.
That's amazing. Like I'm getting chills. That's so crazy. Like in a good way.
It's so crazy. It really is crazy.
That's so
I don't know,
inspiring.
because it's thanks. I don't know. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. It's just like, it makes me feel good to help other people in like this minor way that I can, and then it's also like, I think, given me the personal courage to like do things that maybe would have felt out of my comfort zone in other ways. Like I remember playing a show where a friend of mine was like, we were in the middle of a song, and a friend of mine, this girl, was dancing like kind of close to the front of the stage.
Yeah.
And there was like creepy drunk old dude who like kept going up to her, and she was like fending him off pretty well. Like she was like not deeply upset. And then at a certain point it went from like, okay, this guy has to go, like he's being inappropriate, like was grabbing her and all that. So I just stopped playing, and because she was giving me the eyes, you know what I mean? She was looking at me, and I was like, yeah, okay. So I stopped playing, and I was like, hey, don't touch my friends. I don't know who you are. You're old. Get the fuck away from her. Don't touch her. And to the back of the audience, I looked like I was having a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Because nobody could see what I could see from the stage. And a couple people came up to me after, and they're like, hey, you okay? Because, I don't know, you just came off like really abrasive, and like, I don't know, that was sort of weird. Like, that was kind of alienating to the audience when you did that, because, you were coming off really strong, and it was a little bit scary how you behaved on stage. And I was like, oh my God, I don't give a fuck what you think.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I don't care
That's
what you thought of that moment, because that moment was not for you
yeah.
at all.
That's so honest
I
and
don't
pure,
know,
though, that
man.
you can just to be able to take in the moment and take in the moments when someone reaches out to you and give it the full like the fullness it needs, and like expect like that's like a straight Ian MacKay Fugazi moment. You know what I mean? When he stops the thing and he's like, "I saw you
Oh,
fucking
wow,
eating
I
ice
wish.
cream." Like
Yeah.
that's so fucking punk rock and cool. Like that's
Thank you.
badass.
Wow, I love to be punk rock. Yeah, caring is punk.
It is. It is. Oh my god! And it's so funny that people don't see it like that. Like
Hmm.
I did a podcast with Bill Stevenson, the drummer of the Descendants, like a couple weeks ago,
Oh, wow.
and like in the school I work at, like for some reason, the a philosophy of all, which is basically putting your all into it, became a thing, and like all the kids were into, we all gave our all to doing the thing. That became the motto. So my school was like super fucking punk rock for no reason, like, but that's the
Hmm.
thing. And when you say that to someone who doesn't get it, like they're like, "Oh, you guys like to break stuff in mohawks," and you're like, "That's not punk. That's not Joe Strummer or whatever." Like
Right, right.
that story you just told me, that you writing this song that resonates so deeply with people that they have to reach out for the like emotion mic night where you guys can grow from it, and the kind of like not to make a bit of it because I think it's super important, and it kind of goes back to the Mike Knight thing, and I know I'm switching gears in the conversation, but
No,
like
you're good. You're good.
it goes back to that thing where just getting a chance to play your song or share your experience to people and be heard, not even to
Hmm.
be accepted, but just to be heard is such a big deal.
Oh, I mean, I can't. I mean, I guess I've said it like so many times, but I can't overestimate or over exaggerate like the importance of that, because that's where like that is the pure sort of like vulnerable place from which all art is born, all
Yeah,
good art is
yeah.
born. I probably, like
Hmm.
when you can like get really real with somebody and like show show a side of yourself that isn't usually publicly acceptable,
Yeah.
socially acceptable to be seen. It's the best. Like another time, the first time I ever played Predator, I've told this story a couple times, but the first time I ever played Predator, a couple people were there that the song was about, and I wasn't expecting them to be there at all. They were not there for me.
Yeah.
But they were there nonetheless, and it was, I was nervous to play it because I was like, I don't know if they're going to like see themselves in this,
Yeah.
but they totally did. And, when I said like the line, "There's a liar and there are sympathizers and you know where you stand,"
Yeah.
I looked right at them, and
Fuck.
they looked at each other and said, "Oh shit," and left. And it was so fucking awesome. It was. I would live in that moment. I would live in that moment for the rest of my life if I could. Like,
That's a movie
oh my
moment.
God, you just.
You know what I mean?
Oh, it was so good because it was like literally the power of music. Also, you're offended that you see yourself in this song that's about
Yeah.
bad people, then maybe you're a bad person. Like it writes itself. Like I didn't even have to. I didn't even have to say it.
Yeah.
Like you called yourself out by being offended by what I said, and
Wow. That's
it was just
so,
yeah.
It's crazy that like doing something like talking breathy, like singing, or you know what I mean, like I don't if you had to compare like singing to like a raccoon being a trash panda, you know what I mean, like if you had to put a funny comparison to it, right? Like just talking
Yeah.
talking with a little bit more breath and on a rhythm, how that weird way of communicating is so clearly heard, like is amazing. Like
Yeah.
that like crazy like scene out of a rock biopic that you just described
Yeah.
proves it. Where was that
Yeah.
at? Do you remember the venue?
Yeah, it was at the Asbury Hotel in
Okay.
Asbury Park, which is like not really a real venue.
Okay. Huh?
It's sort of like the lobby of like a newer
Oh,
hotel in town.
okay.
but I was having a music video premiere
Yeah.
there a few years ago.
Which video was it?
It was for Blood.
Okay,
It's for the
that's a
song
good
Blood
video.
that thanks. Yeah, so that one's going to be like re-released on the new
And
new
Get Real
album.
is too, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. That one's catchy as fuck. They're both catchy as fuck, but
Thank you.
because I've been showing my like I tell my friends who I'm talking to. I'm like, check this out. And all my friends are like musicians and put that money in my hand. I want to watch the other band. They're like, yeah.
Yeah. That was like, I wrote the song with my buddy Josh, who's in the band Saint
Yeah.
Slumber, and we've been friends for like 10 years now. And it's always been, he lives a couple hours away from me, so we don't see each other that often. So when we do, it's always like a big hang.
That's
we're
cool.
always like, making a weekend out of it. And I'm staying at his parents' house, and we're getting drunk and we're hanging out.
Sick.
And this is one of those times, except he was like, all right, Avery, we're going to write a fucking song tonight.
Not just get drunk.
Stop. Just like, we're not going to just like watch movies and talk shit. Like, tonight we're going to make something. So we wrote the song Knock Off, like earlier in the night. And I was going through a really, really messy breakup at the time. So that one just like really naturally came out. And then around like midnight, he started playing like the riff of Get Real.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I want to like work on the other song. Like, I don't want to write a new song right now. And he was like, just shut up because I'm writing you a hit. So just enough. And yeah, that one came together.
Yeah.
Thanks to Jim Beam at like 2 a.m. It's crazy because those songs went from nothing to written and recorded in, a couple hours one night. But yeah, I'm excited for Get Real to have its second life. There's a new mix of it is sounding so good. And
sick. Because the one that's out now sounds rad. So a remix of it's going to be like double rad. Can I?
Oh yeah, it's clean.
The shift gears. So I've played out in Jersey a few times, and it's a really cool. It's got a really cool, unique scene with a bunch of different like pockets of like cool, special Jersey stuff, and like. Have you ever crossed paths with the Screaming Females?
I've actually played like a festival thing that they played, but I've never like really met them personally. I played like a radio festival that they played.
Okay, because I think they're like New Brunswick. And like, where are you relative to that?
I'm like an hour south, maybe less. Nah, I'm exaggerating. I'm 45 minutes south.
Okay.
But yeah, the New Brunswick scene is like unlike anything else. Like, it is the definition of DIY. Like, playing New Brunswick basements.
Yeah, that's where I played.
It's its own thing.
It was really cool. It was a really cool, like, weird scene. Like, I don't know, New Brunswick was really cool. So, in the grand scheme of things, like, because you're on Bar None Records, and like, where's that? That's Hoboken, right? Okay, is that closer to you or further away from you?
That's further. That's farther north.
Gotcha.
Like closer to New York City.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense because they would go to CB's all the time.
Yeah, that's more like an hour from where I'm based out of. But
did Bar None kind of hold like a place in like your like musical growth? Like, were you aware of it and like aware of the artist on it?
I mean, yes and no. Like,
okay.
I wasn't like in tune with like them as a label, but I was definitely a fan of a lot of the bands on their roster before I was kind of like scouted out by them. But since signing to them, Glenn from Bar None, I remember going into the office like the first day that I went up to meet everybody, and he gave me this huge bag full of CDs. Just like walking around the office, picking them up off shelves, being like, "Oh, you gotta listen to this record." Made me a whole like tote bag full of different Bar None bands from days of yore, and so many of those records, like, are some of my favorites now of like, bands I've found more recently, and just feels like a really cool thing to be a part of.
That's awesome. Yeah, Glenn's super cool, and he like He's like, as far as someone who changed the scene and like did like a million things, he's that guy. Like,
Oh yeah,
picking his brain was awesome. And he named your record, right?
he did. He
Okay.
did. Ah, I told you. Yeah, I mean, it was too good not to. It was like a joke, sort
Yeah.
of. He was like, "Yeah, whatever happened to Avery Jane?" And I was like, "That's too good to pass up on."
That is good.
It sucks because all the good things other people named, like Fern named when we were Avery Mandeville and the Mandeville.
That's good
That was
too.
Fern.
That is good.
That was not me. But yeah, I got to give credit where credit's due. That was all Glenn.
Nice. No, is Jane? I'm gonna guess Jane's the middle name, right? Or is that kind of
Yes.
okay?
Mhm.
Okay. Actual
Yeah.
middle name or just like?
No, yeah,
Sounds
it's my
good.
actual
Okay. Yeah.
middle name. It's Avery Jane. Yeah.
It's got a good like a triple. I don't know. Whatever. That's awesome. So like, have you noticed like a big difference being on the label? Like, is it make or break, or do you think you'd still be doing the same thing in a different way?
I mean, it's definitely been different, but also like I signed to Bar None in February,
Yeah. Okay. So
and
right when everything
then
shut down.
everything hit the fan in March. So like, who knows what this year could have been?
Yeah.
You know, we had like big dreams of touring and all that going on, but obviously things didn't pan out that way. And Glenn is like, a veteran of the industry, but
Yeah.
was just as dumbfounded as anybody else with like, how do we march on? Like, what is the right thing to do right now? Do we wait to release stuff? Do we release stuff anyway? Do we like work with the newfound systems of, of music community? Like, are we going to be should I live stream? Should I not? How should I present myself? Like all these questions that
Yeah.
are still, uncertain. It's just kind of like you deal with it how you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, their support has been like insane and undeniable, and having people who know the industry and have helped bands, find success, having them believe in me, that's so much more than I could have ever asked for when I was, a kid.
Yeah.
And my only goal was like, can I write a song so like the kid in my class will like pay attention to me,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's like next level. Like it's a weird kind of like, if going back to the Mike Knight idea, like of you playing by yourself, being comfortable with, you can hear me and I'm expressing this thing, and then like having a group of people be like, now we're doing that. And then the next level is like having a person's like, here's money for that. You know what I mean? Like, like as cold and like great as money is, but that's like absolute. Like when someone buys your CD, they want it. They believe in what you're doing. Or if someone puts money behind the band,
right.
as shitty as that sounds, but like in a weird way, it's the most like unspoken, like complete trust. Like, I trust when I give you this money, I will get my burrito. Like,
Right, exactly.
maybe that's
Yeah,
a weird
like,
way of thinking of it, but
no, but it's just like validating in a way that like everyone deserves to feel like what they're doing matters, and not everyone gets that, obviously. But yeah, it's been like a total whirlwind of like feeling like I'm in over my head,
yeah,
feeling like so excited but so scared, like being like broke as shit and like kind of unwell during this pandemic, and like not having any fucking clue, as none of us know what the fuck is going to happen. But I think like in a lot of ways I've kind of resigned to the idea that like control is not possible. Like, don't try and grab too tightly onto anything, because everything is fleeting, and like,
yeah,
you can make definitive plans and you can watch them fall apart, or you can just kind of like go with flow. And I mean, I guess that's like a super easier said than done thing anyway. But
for sure. But that's like that's the mentality kind of. I think that's what everyone works to kind of gain at one point. Like we hear that our whole
Yeah.
lives, and it's like, yeah, go with the flow, bud. And you're like, but I want to play Pokemon. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
really trying to approach that lesson over and over again. Did you with live streaming? I saw on the Grom that I think it was the band did a live stream for someone
Mm-hmm.
like who looked like who had like a tube in their throat or something. Can you explain?
Someone with a tube in their throat?
I can't. It was on your page. It was like a benefit for somebody. The picture I really couldn't tell, but
Yeah, okay, no, sorry, now I was talking about. Yeah, we did, I did like a solo, it was like a benefit show, like a show of, they say solidarity, not charity
Yeah.
in the mutual aid world, but it was for the Central, New Jersey Democratic Socialist Association Mutual Aid Fund.
Yeah.
They had comedians and musicians raising money that was going directly to feeding and housing people during the pandemic. It's all just like done on the local level, no hierarchy, no, no corporations behind it. It's just like you donate to an individual who then goes out and buys food and gives it to people. And that's like,
fucking awesome.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's something that I'm learning about, like, as we're all kind of having this social awakening of, like, mutual aid is one of the most impactful ways to help get people what they need, how they need it, versus, like, clearing out your cabinet and donating it to the food pantry. It's like, that's good as well, but there's other more practical ways of, like, actually helping people. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that was a show for solidarity with Central New Jersey DSA and a comedian that I really admire, Steve Way. He was on the show. You ever heard of the show Rami on Hulu? It's Rami Youssef.
Oh,
He's a
okay.
comedian.
Yeah.
But yes, Steve is like a childhood friend of Rami's and is on his
shit.
show. I loved the show Rami. But yeah, so I was doing this show and I was like, is that Steve from Rami? Like, holy shit. And then Steve did a comedy set that was so fucking funny, especially like despite how weird and like inherently not funny Zoom shows are. It's like
Yeah.
the most awkward thing to like
Yeah.
have a Zoom show. You
For
know,
comedy?
you have
Yeah.
no audience. You have no, oh yeah, especially for comedy. It's like
No feedback.
there's no crowd to feed off of. There's no energy. Steve, the first thing he said, he was like, can you guys all turn your cameras on? Because you're making me all really fucking depressed. Like, looking at the blank screens, like, if I don't see your faces, I'm going to kill myself. So, like, please put your cameras on. And he just, like, boosted the energy in the Zoom room right away. And he was so funny. That was, like, that was a highlight of 2020 for me because live streams kind of suck.
Yeah.
I hate them, to be honest with you. I feel like a dick saying that because, like, there's so many. I've never regretted doing a live stream, like raising, especially like a lot of them are raising money for important causes and like, cultivating the sense of community that like isn't existing right now. So that's cool. But at the same time, like, I'm not mad that I don't have any live streams coming up. And I'm probably not going to book any because they're just not it.
Yeah. No,
they're just not it. Like,
they're different.
I mean, I think like artists have been doing what they can to like keep themselves sane. And also, as much shit as I talk, like every time I'm like dreading doing the live stream because I'm like, I don't like this. Like, this is not what I'm about. And then as soon as I like, finish my set, I'm like, wow, that was so much fun. I miss my friends. Like it always winds up being like a good time and tuning into other people's live streams and feeling like
part of the community.
I don't know. Yeah, because like people, I feel like we've all kind of come out of our quarantine shells a little bit more, probably more than we should have.
Yeah.
Recently, I mean, I know definitely like by the time the end of the summer came around, I was like, I saw a couple people distantly. I like left the house a little bit.
Yeah.
Would like go sit on the beach with my mask and whatnot. But But before that, it was like, what the fuck else did we have other than like looking at each other on Instagram Live and like commenting on your friend's thing, being like, hey, I'm watching.
And they're like, cool.
I mean, it's definitely nobody's preference, but
Yeah.
what are you going to do? Right?
It's so much harder too. Yeah, no, in Cleveland, me and a buddy of mine, we fell into streaming concerts for venues. So I work at this art gallery for this nonprofit. I'm a member of it, and like, so I don't really work there. I just help them out and make no money. But it's great. Like, we did the stream to keep it open. Like how you're saying, all these streams are for causes, which they are. You know what I mean? But like, getting behind the thing and doing the thing and sharing someone playing is equally as like kind of a bummer as when you're doing it, because like there's that like, yeah, the one guy who's pushing the camera kind of clapped, and then like that's it. It's cool because you still get to hang out with the homies and play. It's like a funner rehearsal. Like, it's a more exciting rehearsal, and it does feel good when you're done. You're like, sweet, we did the thing, but that's it. All right, cool.
Right.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there was like, we did a couple live streams and sessions that were like full band, and were definitely like super fun and super worthwhile to like be able to do safely. Like,
yeah,
I love my band so much. They are my sons, and like getting to, like record a live session with them was like a highlight too, and just being able to see each other however we could, despite everything, was fucking awesome. And I don't know, like, I think it's better than
nothing.
It's better than nothing, like, just to, I mean, because there's a live stream that I did at the end of December. It's a show they do every year, usually at the Wonder Bar in Asbury Park, that my old label, Telegraph Hill Records, puts on every year. It's called What a Wonderful Year, and they do 2 nights of local bands, and they spend so much time booking it, put so much work into it, get all these sponsors, and make sure everyone gets paid good, and all that. And obviously, it wasn't going to be the same this year, but they put the same amount of, or not, if not way more. They put in way more work to make this live stream happen. And it really did feel like hanging out with my friends,
Yeah.
Like watching the stream felt like, minus the PBR that I would have been drinking in the green room at the Wonder Bar. It was like the same thing. And yeah.
So
I don't know. It's like, what else? What the fuck else do we have?
Yeah. No, it's a good second. You know what I mean? It sucks because it's different and it's difficult. It's a lot harder. The internet is a finicky thing, and to try to get it to work. And like, I mean, it's kind of cool to watch sets with my cat. I could never take my cat to a show, and now we can comfortably watch a show with me, and like, it's great. So there is weird benefits, but it's and like you said, it's better than nothing, but it's not the same. To kind of pivot on this, I wanted to ask what, like, a couple like reference, not to be like, who's your guys, because I'm sure you get that like all the time, like, who's your musical influences, but can you kind of like, these are more like a vibe thing, if you can explain how they kind of relate to the vibe of the band. All right, so like Spoons, how do they relate to Little Hag?
How does Spoon relate? Well, I feel like there's so many like Spoon one-liners that like stick with me, and I feel like so seen by them, just like in their simplicity, and like, so and in general, like, their big piano and guitar driven sound,
I can hear it.
that like is dry, like Britt Daniel always writes these like really driving guitar parts that like are stuck in my head forever. And I think like the first time I saw Spoon, I was like, this is it. Like, this is the peak of like what I love about music. Not that I like really knew how to describe it, I guess, but and I still don't. I'm still like to my band or to my boyfriend or whoever I'm with, I'm like, hey, can you listen to this guitar solo and then tell me why I like it? And
like, oh, you like minor thirds, clearly. Mm-hmm.
Fern will be like, oh, because it's like got this pedal on it or whatever.
Yeah.
Or my boyfriend will be like, because it's like harmonizing like this or blah blah blah. But they're just like the most consistent band in my life that over the years I've never ever like. There's never been a time where I'm over them.
Yeah. No, that's like when you find that band and like they always stay fresh. I don't know. Or if the band that's like, oh, I gotta write something. You only listen to like 2 songs. I know. I just gotta. I don't know. That's a powerful thing, and like it's a good it's a good thing to keep going back to. That's awesome. That makes sense hearing you describe it like that. What about Talking Heads? Now I've heard you talk about Talking Heads a fair amount, and like if you had one record to go onto the island with or whatever. Or maybe I don't know the live Talking Heads record. You refer to them a lot. What does that relate to Lil Hag in a way, or is that like?
Yeah, I mean, David Byrne is like the biggest icon of performers of all time. Yeah. Like to me, he just like embodies what it means to me to like be a character and like fully give yourself to like the stage in a lot of ways, but yeah, like the sort of theatrical nature of some of like my favorite. This is probably like I'm now trying to think of when I've talked about Talking Heads, but it's probably been because Road to Nowhere is my number one favorite song of all time. Like I've spent enough time thinking about this that I can definitively say it.
That's pretty good. I can't say what you just said. For any song.
You should do it. You should drive yourself crazy one day and sit down and say, what is my favorite song of all time? And you're going to be like, this shouldn't take that long. Yeah. And by the end of the day, you're pulling your hair out and you're like, what is sound? I don't know anything. But yes, I think they inspire me to like be fun and be weird. They're so fucking weird. There's so many songs like that are just absolutely insane. Like the way that David Byrne sing speaks, or the way they'll just like have a bizarre breakdown that's like not really that sonically appealing, but like totally works. Yeah. They're punk. They're punk as hell.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in that sense, that makes complete sense. Awesome. Now this may be. Have you ever heard the band State Radio?
No.
Okay. Your song "No More Dick Pics," which is awesome. That the chorus of the tune, like, or not just the progression. That's what I'm saying. The guitar, it makes me think of a State Radio song, which is one of my like. They're spoons to me. You know what I mean? Like, spoon to me.
Cool.
Like,
I gotta check them out.
Yeah, they're like a rock reggae band. They're a Boston thing. But for me, that was like the thing, and I hear it in every other little thing, right? So in No More Dick Pics, that's totally like the vibe. Or at least progression wise, not like lyrically, not at all. Is that like, I mean, all these songs come from a place that of your life, right? And it got to a point where you had to write a song. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean,
that's pretty bad.
I mean, I kind of like joke about how like it was the dick pic that broke the camel's back, because it was like from a dude that I literally had known since kindergarten.
Ooh.
I was like, bro, I've known you since we were 5. I'm gonna shoot myself. Like I literally did not ask for this. And I mean, in some ways it's exaggerating. Like I haven't received that many, but I've received enough,
Yeah, I think one's enough. I don't know.
And it's I mean, it's definitely been more than one. But like, it's this like something that we joke about, but we don't like necessarily address.
Yeah.
As a head-on thing, and making light of like things that are like medium upsetting, or like medium like have something more sinister beneath the surface, because like a dick pic isn't really that bad, but like all of the behaviors that like lead to that and come after that,
Yeah.
like can be pretty fucking bad. So like just using those moments as like inspiration and like kind of joking around with them and like making light of them
Yeah.
is definitely like how I deal with shit.
I think that like by taking it light in a way and kind of make it almost comedic, like that when you put it out there like that, that's like 2 sentences away from becoming a real conversation. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
when it's in
right.
the air and everyone's comfortable with the idea of it. Not that anyone should become okay, like philosophically, fill in the blank, whatever. Not trying to say dick pic should be going anywhere. But like when you
Right.
put it out there and it's kind of in a lightly brought up, it can lead to a more in-depth transcendental conversation because it was lightly
Right.
brought up and like then someone can share a real
Right,
experience.
and that's just like how I think a lot of people, definitely, this is something I do. It's like music is literally therapy,
Yeah.
because therapy to me is like you take your thoughts and you make them into words, and when you make them into words, then they're real and they exist because you've created, you know, an actual tangible thing out of just like stuff that's floating around in your brain when you put something to words out loud. And then when you do that, you can decide where to go from there. Like how are you going to deal with the thing that's now real?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how I write music.
Okay.
That's how I write music, and that's how I tweet. That's pretty much it.
Yep. All songs are 145 characters or whatever. But no, I think that's an excellent way to do it because you're actively doing a psychodynamic approach to what you just thought. And like, not to it. We talk all the time without thinking about what we said. And I think it's important. It leads to self-knowledge. Why do I keep saying the word like a lot? Why do I say but or you know what I mean? Like, why do I have these weird things? And you don't, until you analyze it, you don't even get a clue. So it makes sense that it would be a therapeutic process for you, and it's cool because it's a creative endeavor, which sounds awesome. So it's a win-win for you and the world.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think that's even like with the no more dick pic thing, right? Like being a female who's leading a band, I'm sure you have to deal with like a bunch of people. Like I have some friends that are female singer-songwriters, and they deal with the same shit, and we have the same conversation. But like dealing with like being in that position where you're like, I don't know if they want to jam or if they want to date me. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my God.
What?
Did you take that from something I actually said, or
no? This is just
I've literally said that exact thing.
I don't. I mean, I'd imagine you would have the experience, especially like with Tetris being like the line, everybody wants to fuck me, no one wants to see me cry. Like it's so blunt and true, and like it's like the no more dick pic thing where it's like it can be seem kind of comical, but it leads to that bigger conversation. Like I don't know, a few of my friends, we can't hang out, so we talk every week, and that's a reoccurring thing. And like she's like, I'm getting hit up by these people who want to jam. I don't know if they want to jam or what. I'm like, I don't know. That sucks. Like,
right. Oh my God, that was like me. I fell for it every time when I was like 16, 17, 18. I'm like, oh my God, this like cool older guy just like thinks I'm really talented.
Yeah.
And like turns out they're just like nasty fucking dudes that are, you know, which is like, you know, a constantly disheartening thing because then you're like questioning your value as a person. You're like, so did my music ever matter to anybody, or was I like just a human woman existing and like, you know?
Fuck. Yeah. So that's like a double.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. Like this weird double whammy of like, so I'm only a human body and like, no, and you never cared about my music. So my music's probably not even that good anyway. Like that whole thing.
Yeah.
But I'm totally way beyond that now because like, I truly do not give a fuck. Like if somebody does or does not like my music or does or does not like me as a person. I mean, I haven't always been so like carefree. I definitely went through phases, as we all do, of like
of course,
being more self-conscious. But at this point, it's like the more offensive, the better. Like the more old men who are like, you know, you should tone it down. Like, be nice. Like, the more of that I
Yeah.
get, the that's how I know I'm doing it right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it goes back to the predator effect, which sounds really fucked up to say, but you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can see it resonate and then like reflect.
Totally.
Because that's kind of like in the Get Real chorus, right? Like you
Yeah.
write nice. Like I don't. That sucks that you have to deal with that. But I think what you that it's I don't know how they're turning around to make it a positive thing because that sucks. But the music you're using and like you're making it's kind of you're doing the same thing with like the Predators song and making it an okay thing to talk about. And I think that's what's important.
Yeah.
And like because if I hear about it from my friend all the time, like when I was showing her your music, I'm like, check out that first line. That's last week's conversation. You know what I mean? Like.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
Wow.
bonkers.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's crazy how universal our experiences are, you know? Like,
right?
I guess, I forget who even said it. It's like something about movies or books or something. It's like there are 9 plots. Like, there's 9 different stories that can be told. You know? I'm butchering this hard.
No, but I know what you mean. Fuck, who was that?
But it's like, yeah, there's like only a certain amount of situations that occur in life, and like we're all experiencing so many of them together. It's just a matter of like how real we get about it.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. I'm just not one to like when I hear artists, they could be like the most talented and write really great melodies and write really great progressions and have all these whatever. If the lyrics aren't like speaking to something deeper than, you know, like a superficial sort of emotion, like I'm so not there. I can't get down, which is why I love, like, I don't know, like the Rufus Wainwrights of the world who are like getting into like the nitty gritty of like a really specific sort of interaction, or it's like, yeah, let me live in like that specific sadness, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think that whatever emotion you're going through, I think living through it is key to, like, either you suppress it in some way and it keeps coming back, right? Like if you don't fully embrace, like, I feel super sad today, and if you just shun it off and you're like, oh, I like ice cream, like whatever, like if you don't really immerse in that thing, it creeps up and comes back, and you. I think that's the thing you just learn going through life is to accept where you are and how you feel and how to grow with that, and like try to expand from it, like, and kind of what you're doing, find ways that in the long run help other people, which is so fucking cool to hear.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like definitely my therapy and like my preferred creative outlet, obviously. And like when the other like comforts of the world that, you know, we usually enjoy are stripped away, like I'm a super, super social person.
Yeah.
I so thrive on being around people.
Yeah.
Like it really, it makes me so sad to like hang up a Zoom call and like feel that rush, because I'm like, I'm so happy to see people. And then I'm like, wow, how pathetic am I that I like really just needed to like see a couple dudes for an hour. But yeah, so wait, where was you going with that? I don't remember. I just like
it's communication.
Having this outlet is I don't know. I do it because I have to. I think that's like probably what any artist would say. It's like it's not. I don't like wake up every day and choose art. I just like, if I don't do it, I'm going to be sad. So,
and realistically,
here goes nothing.
Who would be like, you know what? I want to do the thing that everyone says won't work out for you, put you in very vulnerable positions, and makes you constantly judge your self-worth.
Right. And I'm probably never going to make any money.
Yep.
And, you know, any of my free time that's not spent working is going to have to be dedicated to this.
Yeah.
And when you're, you know, at a smaller level doing like a DIY thing, you're your own social media person and your own PR person, and you got to write your own fucking bios, and you have to write the copy for your press releases, all that shit. It's like
you got to book it. You got to fill the bill. You got to
right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
I forgot about the real world about booking and shit. Oh my god.
Well, like when you've played like a lot of, have you toured with Little Hag as much as you have solo, like acoustic?
No, I've only ever toured solo acoustic.
Okay.
Twice.
Yeah.
I did like a little southern spell, and then I did a full U.S. with my buddy Mikey Frazier.
Okay.
He's from Virginia. Yeah, we did like a month and change going from Virginia through the north of the country, down the coast of California, back through the south. It was insane and incredible and the best time of my life for sure.
That's awesome.
Just being with a bunch of smelly boys in the van, couch surfing or roach moteling or sleeping in the van or, breaking down in the middle of nowhere in Missouri, getting a tow from a guy named Rex, getting drunk with firefighters at the Applebee's and closing down the Applebee's. Just like everyone has like tour stories that it's just like, how did I get in this situation and what is life?
Did you play in Ohio?
No.
Damn, cold.
Yeah, I know. Wait, why didn't we?
Probably because it wasn't on the. It doesn't make sense if you're going south.
I guess it just wasn't on the route. Yeah.
All right. Well, when quarantine ends, we got to find a way to share a bill here in Ohio.
Yes. Bring me to Cleveland.
That'd be sick. Damn. Yeah, it's so weird, and like it's weird. I was talking with this guy Chris Butler, who, if you ask Glenn, he'll tell you all about. Super cool guy, and like it's just back then you would think someone's gonna cover all that, and like it's cool because you don't have to worry about it. You can just worry about being the music guy. I'm just writing the songs, but also if they don't do a good job with it, or if they market you in a way you don't want to be marketed as, you know what I mean? Like it's so cool that now you have complete control. It's just a lot of work. It sucks.
Right.
It's all you. Oh, man. Well, Avery, thank you so much for hanging out with me for like fucking 2 hours. This has been rad.
Yeah, dude. No, thank you I was just saying earlier today, I was like, I do so many interviews that are like really copy and paste bullshit, like superficial, like, like very just boring.
Who are your guys?
Questions that then like they lead me to giving boring answers, and I'm like, I know that wasn't my best self that I just put out there because like I wasn't given the tools to like be funny at all. But so that is to say, thank you for like actually caring and actually asking me interesting things and actually listening and all of that.
Well, you got it. Well,
it's very inspiring.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate just being able to chat with you. I really, like I was saying, I really dig the record. So I've been super stoked. And I've been showing a lot of people, I'm like, check out who I'm talking to. And they're like, oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
So this this has been awesome. I'm going to hit the pause button.
Okay.
And hit the play button on another track. Here is Get Real by Avery Mandeville. This is apparently going to be on the new record in a new way. So this is an old version. Dig it. Thanks for listening.
DJ Sally Hatchet, and this is The Witching Hour. Coming up next, we've got Avery Mandeville's new single, Get Real.
Get real, get real, get real, get real. missing. Look at your scene, see I'm what's missing. Look at your scene, see I'm what's missing. Look at your scene, see I'm what's missing. I'm just trying